Can I remember anything at all about the 2 books I finished before going on vacation camping? I don't know. Let's find out. Hi everyone, I'm Sandy and welcome back to my channel. Today I have 1001 book countdown for you. It's been a couple of weeks since I've had any video posted. I have been away camping for 10 days. I just got back on Wednesday and I'm just slowly trying to get back into the routine, and it's taking me a moment. So for those of you who are not aware, every year I go on a 10-day camping trip where I have no connectivity to Wi-Fi, cell coverage, anything for 10 solid days. And it is absolutely amazing. Yeah, me and 2 of my very good friends go, and we just have an absolutely wonderful time. So I will try my best to record a coherent video for you about the 2 books that I read before I left on vacation. We'll see how it goes. So what is the 1001 book countdown? If you're not familiar with this, I am reading books off of the 1001 books you must read before you die list, and just slowly working my way through all 1,000+ books on that list. I do have a video out there, which I will leave linked for you, where you can go and check out the original and see all of the information about what I'm doing. Just way more probably information than you ever wanted or needed about it. But basically, I'm reading books off the 1001 books you must read before you die. All right, so consider hopefully giving me a subscribe and sticking with me and seeing how far I can make it through this massive, massive project. But for today, we will go ahead and put up our numbers, which are 9, 17, and 22. So 9, 17 is the number I have left off of the main list of books, and 22 are... Every year I pre-select 52 books and I track those because sometimes tracking a smaller number is easier. And I have 22 left for this year. Not too bad, but I think I am still behind. I think I am behind, but we'll pretend like I'm not. So those are the numbers, and let's go ahead and talk about the books. The first book is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. And so this book I did as a buddy read with Britta Bowler. This is my second Morrison that I have read, and Morrison actually has 5 books off of the list. And so this book was originally published in 1970. It is her debut novel as well, and it does kind of read like a debut novel for sure. Toni Morrison is one of those authors that I so desperately want to love. I so admire her as a person, as an author. There's a lot of just things that I wish she was one of my favorite authors. And unfortunately, this book, it just didn't work for me again. It was very muddy. It was kind of all over the place. I had trouble figuring out who the narrator was or who was telling the story for me. There was a lot of really important content, a really important message in this book, but it just didn't work for me, and I'm so sad. I've wanted to love Morrison. I read Beloved, and it didn't have the emotional impact that it had for a lot of people that I've watched their channels. And it's like, what is wrong with me that I don't love her writing? I don't understand. It's similar with like Virginia Woolf. I want to love Virginia Woolf's writing, and I just don't. And so I wish this was an author I could connect with. But there's a lot to do with, the color of your skin, the color of your eyes. The main character, Pecola, thinks she's ugly and thinks if she has blue eyes, she would be perceived as pretty. There's a lot going on for her emotionally. There's a lot of abuse that kind of is inferred in this book, and in one way not inferred but just described, which is really horrible and hard to read. There's a lot going on in it, but yeah, it just wasn't my favorite. I'm sad though. I am sad. I really wanted to love it, and I just didn't. But it was great to read it with Britta, as always. She's a wonderful buddy reader. If you ever have the opportunity to read with her, she's great. But yeah, The Bluest Eye, second Morrison. I have 3 more to go. Maybe I will find the one that makes me love Toni Morrison. But we'll see how that goes in the coming months and years. But with the completion of this book, we do get to go from 917 to 916, and it was on my 2022 list, so that number gets to go from 22 to 21. I can do math, I promise. 22 to 21. All right. Moving on. The next book was much more successful, but oh boy, is this a brick of a book. And we are talking about A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth. Woohoo! I did this as a buddy read with Fraser from Springboard Thought, and thank you so much, Fraser, for being willing to put up with a very aggressive reading schedule. We read this book in 2 weeks, and when you look at it, it's 1,474 pages long. It put us at right about the 100-page mark per day, which is a lot to read when you work full time. I felt like at times all I was doing was reading this book. At times this is the only book I was reading. So it really made it very easy. I only had 6 books on my overall TBR for August, intentionally knowing that I was going away. But yeah, this one qualifies for like 6 books, 7 books. This book was originally published in 1993. It's the only book that Vikram Seth has on the 1001 book countdown. It's also incredibly heavy and hard to hold up here for you. So if I have to put it down, bear with me. This book is set in 1951 and has a main character whose name is Lada. Lada is a teenager whose sister just got, I believe it was her sister just got married. And so now all the focus has been turned on to Lada about finding a suitable boy and someone that she could marry. That is really almost a subplot of this book. I know it's called A Suitable Boy, but there is so much more that goes on in this book and so many other characters. There are just a wide variety of different ones, and you're never really sure, okay, is this person going to be a suitable, a suitor for Lada at some point? Is this person people she falls in love with that aren't suitable, that she wants to run away with? Some people that are just really interesting and difficult characters in this. Whoo, this book is heavy. Okay, I'm gonna have to I don't know where to hold it. I'm gonna hold it. Where am I gonna hold it? Over here with both hands now, maybe? I'll hold it like this. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so this is also a book though, when in reading this book, what was really interesting is it never felt like necessarily like a chore to read it. It was a lot to read and it was a lot going on, but you just kind of what I ended up doing was just kind of being immersed in the story and just getting to, visit with my favorite characters every day is kind of what happened with this particular book. In the end, the parts that I had trouble with, there were some parts that were difficult, and they had to really do with the political components of the book. There were a lot of scenes about politics and about people running and about people sabotaging the candidates that were running. A lot of just back and forth and political intrigue, which is not my thing. Now there were reasons for all of that in this book, but it was a lot to get through from just that component of it. When it was in the characters and in the story, whether it was Lada or her sister or some of the other characters or the mom, they were relatable and easy to kind of read about, but the political components were just like, oh, yikes. Could it have been significantly shorter? Probably. Would it be still considered this massive epic if that were the case? I don't know. But what I would advise anyone reading this book is go into it not trying to keep track of the characters, because it can be impossible. There are so many in the beginning. There's a very lovely kind of family tree of different families at the beginning of this book, if I can find it for you. That looks like this. And what I quickly realized while reading this book, I would flip back to this, and look for a character that was being discussed, only to find they weren't in that tree. So I gave up pretty quickly trying to keep track of people. And I thought sometimes when the last name was the same, I was like, oh, maybe this person's there and I can see their relationships. No, it didn't have anything to do with that. And so, my advice would be, if you go into reading this, know that it is a long book. It isn't particularly difficult to read. The writing is very well done, but it's a lot. And just I had two choices with it. Either I was going to take my time and take a very long time to read it, or read it over the 2-week period. And yeah, the 2-week period worked for me, but that's an aggressive schedule for a book this big. But this is one of the last books off of the big book summer challenge that I was doing. It's also one of the longest books on the 1001 book countdown by far. I think it's in the top 10 for number of pages. And so I am so thrilled to have this one off of the list. It is done. I can check that box and get this monster book and finally be able to put it down, because my goodness, I can lift weights with this thing. Woo! Big chunker of a book. But yeah, I would recommend it, but just know you're going in for a long book, and it's not always going to be about Lotta and her finding a suitable boy. There's a lot of other characters in here. So, but I did like it, and I really liked reading it with Fraser. It was great to check in with him. We checked in every single day about this book. And I just really appreciate, again, him putting up with my very fast and aggressive reading schedule. So thank you so much, Fraser. I really, really appreciate it. So, but with this book, we do get to go from, what's the numbers? 916 to 915. And it is on the 2022 list, which takes us from 21 to 20. Okay, we're almost in the teens for this year, which will be great. I'm really looking forward to getting that down to a number that feels doable in the last 4 months of the year. So what am I working on in the 1001 book countdown for the next week? I have On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I have started this book. There's no bookmark in it because I started it as an audiobook, which the narrator is Will Patton, I believe, and it's actually a very good audiobook. As far as the narrator goes. The book itself, I'm already struggling with it. I will be picking it up in the physical copy this weekend, hopefully to get through it. It's not a very long book. But On the Road by Jack Kerouac, that's my next one. And then the other book that I am working on is still Kristin Lavranstadder by Sigrid Undset. You can see the bookmark in here. I am 2/3 of the way through this book now. I'm doing this as a buddy read with my friend Sonia, and we have one more book. We're supposed to read the last book in September, so I am thrilled that I am 2/3 of the way through this book. This is another chunky book. This one, though, is 1,100 pages, I think. Yeah, around 1,100 pages, but I only have the one book left. So those are the two that are coming up. This one I will not finish this week, but this one I definitely will finish this week. So that's what I'm working on. What are you reading? Have you read anything? Any of these books? Have you read A Suitable Boy? Is it one that interests you? I'd love to hear from you. Please leave comments down below. I love comments, even though I'm very behind in answering them after being gone for 10 days. I promise I will go and update comments this weekend for everyone. But that's really all I have for you today. I go kind of short and sweet 2-book 1001 book countdown where I don't remember a huge number of details because I read them a little too long ago. Oh well, but camping was wonderful. So as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks. Bye.